Hey up, it's Steve from that old Yorkshire geek. I know I'm a bit early, but I just thought I'd start a little bit early and do some introductions. You probably saw I forgot to get rid of it before I came live. I found a YouTube video of the old Appointment with Fear introduction. It's not the original one that I remember from my childhood. This is one from the 1990s. When I was a kid, my mum used to let me stay up on a Friday night to watch Appointment with Fear on ITV. It were after news at 10, so it were on at 10:30, and they'd put on these old horror films, it's like Curse of the Werewolf, stuff like that. Hammer films usually, but sometimes some others. And I used to love watching them, but they had an introduction little intro that more often than not was more terrifying than the actual films. And I found the 1990s one. I've been looking for ages for the original, like an animated introduction where the faces of monsters like Frankenstein's monster and Dracula and the Mummy and all that, they morph into one another with this scary music. But I've found this one, so I thought we'd play this just for a bit of fun. There we go. Are you ready? That's from the 90s. I haven't been able to find the original one. What's that one? Appointment with the intro 70s. That's not it either. Shall we have a look? We've got plenty of time. Zombie on the Stairs with Appointment with Fear soundtrack. I've no idea what this is. This is going to be the original music, I think. I'm scared. Yeah, that was the original music that I remember. But it's not really music, it's just a tone, isn't it, with things going as the faces morph. But I've not been able to find the original, the film that went along with it. But never mind. But yeah, that's all I wanted to share. While we're talking about scary videos, I'm going to show my homemade one. Here we go. This is called Bumps in the Night. It's a little found footage, homemade little horror film that I made 10 years ago, I think now. 10 years ago. Just for a bit of fun. It's only 5 minutes. Here you go. Can you hear that? Oh, crap, let's go. Can you hear that? Oh, this mic's picking it up. There's nobody else in this house but me. I don't know what's making those noises. Anything wrong? Oh. How did that happen? Was that there before? Back. Okay, right. So I went to the library, it was a waste of time. 50 Shades of Grey, or by Katie Price, stuff like that. Rubbish. Anyway, so I ended up going online. And this is what I found in the local area. Apparently, all round here were fields, as they say. But there used to be a Viking settlement. There's a picture in there somewhere. And there was a pagan temple in some nearby woods, which is actually not far from here, so we're going to go check it out tomorrow. And we'll see what's there. See if it's connected with what's happening here. Can you hear that? Oh, that's getting loud as that. Really loud as that. What the bloody nod? Look at that. What's going on? Oh, crapping myself here. Letters of some sort just appeared. Seems to say, you know, like blood, but it's not. It's printed on, but I don't understand how. That's it. That's it for that. So give myself some applause. Hey. We'll try that again. It's rubbish, isn't it? I know it is. I know it is. I know it is. Let's have a look back here. Haven't we got? Keep going. I saw another thing. Where are we? Oh, there's this. This is another one. Appointment with Fear, Yorkshire television trailer. I think there's another fan-made one. So we'll have a look at this. There's still time before we get to the main features. This is the musics. Yeah, wish we could find the original. Surely it's in the Yorkshire TV archive. Somebody out there, have a look. Have a look for it. And see if they can find it. How long have we got? 5 minutes. What can we do for 5 minutes? What's this one? That's Thames TV's Night Skyline Appointment with Fear. Let's have a look at this one, eh? See what this one goes. Appointment with Fear. Is that best they can do? Oh, Thames TV, you disappoint me. You disappoint me. What others is there? And then it's just, there were actually a series called Appointment with Fear, wasn't there? So, what's this one? My version Appointment with Fear. Very good, but not as good as the original. Sorry. JMJ Martin. Anyway. Right, so we'll get rid of that. Oh, pardon me, I'm burping already. We haven't even started. Where's my camera? Switch my camera on, eh? Spladosh. There I am. What background shall we have? Have I got a horror background? I haven't, have I? Never mind, I'll just leave it black then. Let's leave it black. Because it's scary. Shall I find one? Shall I find a horror background? Let's have a look. Just while we're killing time. I can't find it. I typed in Appointment with Fear. Oh, there's a picture there, but that's... No. Don't know why I'm doing the Top Gear theme. You know, is it Jessica? It's going through my head. No. We'll just look up a spooky pic then. Just to use for the background while I'm killing a bit of time. It's nearly time. We'll have that one. So I'll save that picture. And then I will add a picture in here. Image. Add source. And go to that. I'll call it spooky. Because it is. And then, see, there it is. Look, we'll have that. Make that bigger. It fills the screen. And I'll have to move it down. Oop, there you go in. Move it down to there. There we go. Right, so it's almost 9 o'clock, which means it's almost time for Friday night's Appointment with Fear. Right, I'll get me stuff ready. Because tonight is a double bill. Two of my favourite horror films. Are they classed as horror? They are to me. You know, they're not new. The first one's going to be Horror Express. They both star Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee. The first one's called Horror Express, and it's a classic. It's a British Spanish, whatever, co-production. But we'll get into it. Obviously, I'm not going to play the films. If you come thinking you're going to sit and watch a film, I'm sorry. We're going to talk about the films. But I'm going to, show stills from them. Because if I just play the film, I get copyright strike. And the video will get taken down. So there's no point in that, is there? Right, so we're on 9 o'clock. You know what I'll do? I'll run the intro once again. And then we'll get on with it. Right, let's get on with it. Let's fire up Horror Express. There we go. It starts off with a train. In this film, they show some real trains occasionally, and then they show some model trains, and you can tell which is which. But I don't know what's going to happen here. I've got to make my window here. See, that's getting bigger now. Look into it. I'm going to have to shrink that down. Never mind. Never mind. But I've got to make my window bigger so I can click on it. So I've got to make this smaller now. Tell me, there's all the summit, isn't there? There's all the summit. So we'll move that about a little bit smaller. I should have done this before, shouldn't I? I mean, I've been sat waffling on for like 15 bloody minutes. Right, so we're off. Horror Express. Here we go. So we start off with the train. As I said, this stars Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee. It's set in Siberia. It's also called, the Trans-Siberian Horror or whatever. There we go. Alberto de Mendoza, I think is one of the stars. It's got a creepy intro music, just whistling like that. Anyway, so the version I've got's got the Spanish titles. I've got it on Amazon, but for some reason Amazon won't let me, share it. So I can't do it that. And I think that's in English, the opening titles. But we'll just have to make do. I've got it on DVD as well, and that's in English, but same problem. Right, so we'll get there in a minute. There we go. So it starts off in Tibet. I think it says Tibet or Nepal. Anyway, province de Sichuan, China. So I was wrong. It's in China in 1906. How many times have I seen this film? Not hundreds, but a lot. Tell you my memory. And it starts off, we've got Peter Cushing finding... is it Peter Cushing or Christopher Lee? No, it's Christopher Lee finds this... a frozen body in this cave. There we go. Here is Christopher Lee. He's a scientist, and I'll tell you. Come on, show us the bloody thing. There he is. Go on, show us it, and then we can move on to the next scene. Is it gonna show us or not? I'm sure it does. I'm sure we have a look at it. There we go. He finds the frozen body in the ice. Obviously, he thinks it's dead, but obviously it's not. So anyway, better make sure we're streaming. Yes, we are. I thought I'd better check. So obviously it's not dead, but he packs it up, and we end up at the train station. Here we go. There we go. We're at the train station. The body's packed up in a crate. Oh, not the train station yet. Oh, I'll tell you, what am I like? Right, we're at the train station now. And it's obviously, this is the Trans-Siberian Express, so he's heading, back across to Europe from China. And he ain't got a ticket. He's trying to buy a ticket from this chap who isn't very helpful. I think there's a lot of dubbed English-speaking voices here. I think this chap's dubbed. But he's not having much luck buying a ticket. So there's no room left. Meanwhile, this chap is some sort of thief, and he wants to break into the crate that the doctor... I forgot his name now. Hang on, let's have a look. Dr. Alexander... Professor, Sir Alexander Saxton, and Peter Cushing plays a man called Dr. Wells, so... Yeah. Anyway, he wants to break into this crate, see what's inside. Here we go. Apparently he's an amazing locksmith, undo locks, what they call it, I don't know, that. A lock breaker. So he does that. There we go, so he's getting ready to do that. So back in the office, Peter Cushing arrives, Dr. Wells, he ain't got a ticket either, so he decides to bribe the chap the station master, I presume he is. And he gets his ticket because he's bribing him. But Christopher Lee doesn't agree with that. He says it's bribery and corruption. So he just decides to smash up the place. Meanwhile, this chap, I think he finds the body. Let's have a look. He comes along, sees that this crate's been opened, or partially opened. And then he looks round the corner, and we see the body of the would-be thief. Oh, for crying out loud. There we go. And his eyes have turned white. There's a lot of these, I don't know what they call them, is it sclerical or something? Scleric contact lenses that look incredibly painful that they use in this film with these white, to give him white eyes. Obviously, the creature's done that to him because he saw it. He looked inside. Anyway, meanwhile, Professor Saxton is going to get his ticket. So he smashes up the place. This chap, not happy about it. But then some soldiers come in. And they say they've been sent to, help Professor Saxton. So that changes his... I'm trying to find a picture of him. We're going to see him. There we go. They come in. They have to give him all the help that they can. And so then suddenly the station master or whoever he is finds the ticket. Says, here it is. Anyway, they come outside and find all this disturbance going on. And there's a dead body next to the crate. There's this Rasputin-type monk fella who's praying over him. He's more in the story later. In a big way, there he is. He is called Father Pujadov. And he's Alberto de Mendoza. And let's say plays a really good part in this film. Very creepy. I don't know if he's dubbed or not. He could be. I don't know. Probably. Anyway, so... I don't know, why his eyes have turned white. They said he's an amazing thief and lock breaker. But said, how can he do that when he's blind? But anyway, he wants to get in, see what's in this crate. But obviously Christopher Lee won't let him. This is a police officer. Let's see his name. He's Inspector Mirov, played by Julio Pena. Inspector Mirov. So he's investigating this death, and he's going on the train with them. I don't know if he'll go into anywhere or what, I don't know, but he does. So anyway, they end up on the train. Obviously, the monk's saying, great evil is befalling on us and all that. Which is true, basically. I put a curse on you and all. He's one of them sort of people. Right, so anyway, they're on the train, and this is the I don't know what they call them, in charge of the, cargo stuff. The baggage handler, that's it. And Peter Cushing bribes him as well, says if he has a look inside that crate and, to see what's in, it'd be most appreciative. So anyway, they set it off. There we go, he has a look in, and we see that I think we see the creature inside. Obviously, it's quite dead, or appears to be quite dead, but obviously, as we know, it's not. There's a look in. Is it melting? Looks a bit of ice there's coming off. Doesn't look more like plastic than ice, but I think that's supposed to give us the impression that it's starting to melt. Anyway, the train sets off. So off they go. Professor Saxton covers up the crate. Peter Cushing is playing this really amiable chap, and has got a bit of a twinkle in his eye. He wants to know what's going on, what's in the crate, and obviously he's just shown him that it's a fossil that's been dead for 1,000,000 years or whatever, and that it's a find of important scientific importance, great scientific importance. Anyway, so this is where we meet the Countess. She is, let me look her up. I can never remember names, you know what I'm like. Countess Irina Petrovska, played by Sylvia Tortosa. She's there with it. She's on board with her father, who is Count Marian Petrovsky, but we don't really see a great deal of him. Right, so anyway, so she's on there. Anyway, he finds out he's got to share a cabin with Dr. Wells. In a minute. Oh, yes, there's a woman in there already. See if I can... oh, no, I'm lying. See, I'm getting ahead of myself. He goes into the wrong cabin. I think he's at the next cabin over. This chap's an engineer, and he plays a part in the proceedings in a bit. This is where Peter Cushing is asking this chap, the baggage handler, to have a peek inside, which he does in a bit. Right, the ticket collector's going round, and it's where Peter Cushing finds he's got to share the cabin. He's not happy about it. He thought he had it to himself. The cabin with Christopher Lee and this young lady, who is... she's a thief, basically. She's like a cat burglar sort of thing. I think she's called Natasha. I think it's Natasha. I could be wrong. I think it's Natasha, played by Helga Linné. I think that's what she's called. But it turns out she's a thief. She's there to steal something from the Count. But she's making out she ain't got a ticket, and can they help her? She turns on the waterworks. So Peter Cushing, being a stalwart chap, offers to help her. So he's trying to say, we've got to help her and all that. Anyway, they do. So he stays there with them. This is the baggage handler unscrewing the crate and whistling as he does it. It's the music we heard at the beginning. Anyway, he has a... Oh, here we go. I think this is a model. Are you ready? I think that's a model train. I don't know. It might not be. I don't know. But there you go. Right, I've gone too far, obviously. As you can see, the creature's alive, but the fella looks in, and it makes his... There we go. And the creature, its eye glows red, and it makes his eyes turn white and bleed. In a minute. Oh, see, I go too far every time. Come on, get on with it. Oh, no, I haven't done it yet. Oh, see, that's why. Yeah, the creature's alive. It comes out. Remember, it killed the locksmith before, the fella that can do all the locks. And so it's checking this chain and this padlock. And it has a feel about. It finds a matchstick, which is no good. Then it finds a nail. It bends the nail and picks the lock. Because, as we find out, when it kills you, makes your eyes white, it's basically extracting all your memories and taking them for itself. So it knows, it knows what you know when it kills you. So it now knows how to pick locks. There you go. There we go. And it gets this chap. He sees the chain going in. It's pulling the chain in, is the creature, and he tries to stop it. But there you go. Its eye glows red. And there we go. His eyes go, and it's all scary. And then he dies. And the creature gets out. So there's a creature loose on the train. This is the Count. The monk that we saw at the beginning is with them. He's like their personal, religious council or something. That's what he's there for. But it's obviously he's mental. I don't know what they're keeping him around for. Like I say, he's like a Rasputin sort of character. But they're having a chat about, they're taking the mickey out of him basically because he thinks there's evil on the train, and he speaks out of turn. But anyway, they find the body. Oh no, this is the police officer. They find the body of the guard, the baggage guard. But they notice that the box has. The crate has been. The baggage guard's missing. That's it. They don't know where he is. They notice that the crate's been locked up again. So they open it up, and Professor Saxton comes in. And they open it up, and they find that the baggage guard's in there, and the creature's missing, as we'll find out in a moment. There we go. They're opening it up. There he is. They find he's in there, and the creature's loose on the train. Right. Oh my goodness. And he's saying, have you killed the guard and put him in there and all that? Obviously, he's suspect number one. Obviously, but that don't last long. So they realise that obviously this creature's somehow still alive. There it is. There we see it. Look, it goes into this room, but it don't get the kid. Don't worry, it don't get the kid. Kids, plural. There it is again. But what it can do, you see, as we'll find out in a minute, they corner it. They find the creature eventually and they corner it. But before they do, there we go. He's got somebody else. He's got a guard there. Here we go. They're at dinner. So Natasha and Professor Dr. Wells are at dinner, and the engineer's there as well. And the professor gets called away. He's got to do an autopsy on the baggage guard. So he asks his assistant in a minute when we see her. He's asking him to go do the autopsy. So he asks his assistant to go and assist him, because that's what she's there for. His assistant is called Miss Jones, played by Alice Reinhardt. Anyway, they do a nice bit of gory bit here. They saw the top of his head off, and then we see his brain in a minute. There we go. So they do that. It's the Countess. She wants to see Professor Saxton for some reason. Don't ask me why, I can't remember. Maybe she fancies him. There we go. Notice his brain's all smooth, because they decide in this film, for some reason, that memory is stored in the wrinkles on your brain, and if you take those memories away, your brain goes smooth somehow. But it's quite a cool bit of prosthetics there. So they say that's curious. But the creature's still there, look, lurking. Oh, I gets her next. That's it. I've just remembered. She's the Count has got a piece of steel that's like worth loads of money. For like industrial purposes. It's worth loads of money. He's got it in the safe, and she's going to go steal it. I don't know if she's being paid to go steal it, by some industrialist. I don't know, but that's what she's there for. And she comes across the creature, obviously, so it gets her and takes all her memories as well, as we will see in a moment. That's Peter Cushing. He's wondering where she's gone. Because remember, she was staying with him in his cabin, him and Christopher Lee, but she's not there. So it's curious. I've missed the bit where it got her. Anyway, whatever. Here we go. It's getting her now. Look, there we go. Picks her up. Does all that. Then we see cut to her white eyes. There we go. Anyway, so he gets her, but then the policeman, that Peter Cushing opens the door, and the creature, lashes out at him, and then the policeman arrives and shoots it and kills it, but not before the creature. See, the creature does something to him. It like puts its essence into him. So when its body, because it's not a corporeal being, is this alien. If it turns out this is a science fiction film, essentially it's a sci-fi horror. It's an alien from another planet, and it's a non-corporeal, so it can jump from body to body. So it was in the body of the caveman. Pardon me. But now it's gone into the policeman. Obviously, they don't know that. They think the creature's dead, and that's it. This is a bit silly. So anyway, he comes to, and then he looks at his hand and finds, for some reason, I don't know why, it's not going to show us, is it? Does in a minute. He's got the caveman's hand. Why? I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense whatsoever. Anyway, so they're all curious about what's going on, obviously. But they think it's over. But it's not over. That's it. Come on, carry on. What's happening here? Oh, they're doing an autopsy on the creature, and I think they found that that's got the same smooth brain and all that. Or somebody's checking on it. I can't remember. Yeah, so this is it. They get some. That was it. They were checking its eyes for some reason, and they get some fluid from its eyes, and they look at the drops of fluid under the microscope, and its eye. Another thing that doesn't make any sense. Each time they look at a drop from its eye, it shows an image of what the creature remembered. So we see stuff like dinosaurs. So obviously the creature came millions of years ago when dinosaurs, this alien, were around, and it's not going to show. I'm not going to land on them, am I? Oh, for Pete's sake! Come on, show us one of the rubbishy pictures. Because they're just drawings, basically. Drawings of dinosaurs and pterodactyls. Is it going to show us? Come on, show us one. So we can have a good laugh. Here we go. Oh, no, that's showing the policeman that shot it. There we go. That's one of its last memories. But look at some others and they see dinosaurs. We're going to see it now. No, is that later? That might be later on, actually. That could be later on. We'll see. Oh, come on, for God's sake. Right, what's he going to see? Oh, he sees the same thing. It must be a little bit later on when they see dinosaurs. And the Earth from space as well. They've done an autopsy on Natasha, and obviously they see the creature's hand, but as we know, this is the police officer, and he checks her head. I don't know why he's got the caveman's hand. I suppose the argument would be that the creature were rushed, passing its essence onto him, and it also took some of the caveman's essence with it. I don't know. It makes no sense. It don't really matter. Here we go. We're going to see. There we go. A dinosaur. Nice drawing of a dinosaur and a pterodactyl. It makes no sense. And there we go. The train again. Is that a real train or a model? I don't know. It looks like it could be either. What happens next? As I said, they're a bit suspicious about what's going on. They think this creature, it's an amazing scientific thing, and it could be an alien, and there might still be danger on the train. So this crazy loon, he knows there's still evil about, And somehow he knows, he can sense that I think it's in the policeman. So he goes to him and offers his service because he thinks he's the devil. Why a priest would want to, be a servant of the devil, I don't know. This is Miss Jones. She gets got here, I think. She's gone to check on something, and here we go, the policeman. His eyes glow red. Oh yeah, that's it. Yeah, the priest sees this. The priest sees this happening, and so he knows that the creature's in him. There we go. Going to get her now. So we're going to see her eyes go. There we go. Poor Miss Jones. Oh dear. There we go. His red eyes. They look a bit painful. Or is that just stuck on over his eyes? It could be, couldn't it? I don't know. Probably because they've got the glowing out, so they're probably electrical. Or got batteries in, or something, or wires going around the back. Maybe that's just hiding them. A bit of makeup. So he wants to be his servant. So obviously they know there's still danger on the train. They don't know it's him. The priest does, but everybody else doesn't know it's him. They think there's still a creature aboard the train. So they send a message. There's ahead. There's some. When this is where we meet Telly Savalas, who's not in the film much, but he has an impact. And I'm not a big Telly Savalas fan, to be honest, but it's quite annoying in this. He's just hamming it up. Anyway. So anyway, the Telly Savalas and his Cossacks. I think the Cossacks board the train. They stop the train and board it. In a bit. Here we go. See, they're all getting ready for action. Oh, this is the telecommunications chap. He gets a telegram or whatever, on the wire to stop the train. So that's what they do. There he is, look. So anyway, they stop the train, and he's still got his manky hand. He's just about to kill him here, and then something happens. I think the train. He walks in with his rifle, and but anyway, Telly Savalas arrives on the train in a minute. There we go. It's going to stop here now. I think this is a model. Looks very modelish, doesn't it? Yeah, that's a model. Here the train stops. And the Cossacks, I think the Cossacks, climb aboard. Basically, Telly Savalas, what's his name? Let's have a look. What's his name? Telly Savalas, where are you? Where are you, Telly? Where is he? There we go. Captain Kazan. There, right down at the bottom here. Captain Kazan. He starts throwing his weight around, basically, and hitting people and all this, and threatening to shoot people, because he wants to get to the bottom of these murders quickly. But obviously that doesn't happen, because somebody turns out the lights and we see his red eyes, which obviously if you turn out the lights, his eyes must glow red. In a minute. This is where they're throwing the weight around, hitting people. So he's not a nice man. He's not a nice man. There we go. We see his manky hand, so we know he's the creature. They've thrown a knife and it's gone in his back. Anyway, he legs it. They've turned the lights off as well. They'd seen his red eyes. Anyway, he's dying, so the priest says, take me. So the alien goes into the priest. There we go. That's what he wants. And that's what happens. So anyway, then the priest comes out and starts killing all the Cossacks. There's all gunfire going on. But they're all dying. There we go, look. So he's coming out and just laying waste to the Cossacks. And Telly Savalas cuts for it as well. There he is, look. So that's the end of Telly Savalas. Maybe notice he didn't have white eyes though, did he? Or does he in a minute? Maybe he does in a minute. Let's see. I can't remember if he does. He does have white eyes. There we go. I thought they didn't pay him enough to have them contact lenses in, but they must have done. Anyway, I forgot how they dispatch him. He gets the Count. Look, Count cops for it. He's gonna. I don't know if he's gonna kill her or not. The Countess. There we go. Christopher Lee. I think Christopher Lee saves the day. And that's it. He raises up all the dead people. Can you see me? But I've just noticed they look very dark and spooky there, don't I? Or is that a good thing? Yeah, it is. He raises up all the people he's killed, so they become like zombies. So they all rise up. And that's it. I've just remembered how it ends. I've seen this film loads of times, and I still can't remember how it ends, but I've just remembered. So the last few surviving people that get onto the front of the train or the back of the train or whatever, onto the back of the train, to the last carriage, they all get in and they uncouple the front of the train with all the zombies in and the alien, and it goes off. It goes off a cliff for some reason. There we go. That's it. The points. So it's going off the end of the line. There we go. There we go. Model train. Obviously. And then see, it goes off the thing, and whee, so that's the end. That's the end of the alien and the zombies. Boom, blows up and stuff. And the other carriage just trundles to a halt. And everybody's happy. The alien's dead. And we can start whistling. It shows the Earth from space because it were an alien, remember? And going, or whatever it is. And that's the end of that film. So I know I've not done it justice because, I've got to try and get through it reasonably quickly. But that's that. So I say it's one of my favourite films. I like it because it's science fiction, and I like it because it's kind of gory in places. Surprisingly gory. For a 1972 film, it's pretty gruesome in places. It's a bit hokey with some of the plot points, but I still love it. It's great. It's a great film. It's a classic. And I think a lot of people have seen it. If you mention to people, have you seen Horror Express with Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee with the red-eyed caveman monster? People will probably remember it and say, oh yeah, I've seen that. But anyway, so that's that one. So we'll move on to the second of our featured movies. Get rid of that now. And the second one is The Creeping Flesh. Let me get rid of that. Oh, I've got to do this again, haven't I? Hang on. So your image will adjust. There we go. I've got to shrink this down now, haven't I? We're getting there, don't worry. Nearly there. Not near enough. It is now. Right, so we're on the... Oh, no, we're not. Right, get up there. No. Oh, for Pete's sake. It's live. Who cares? Right, so the second one, this is from 1973. The Creeping Flesh, starring Peter Cushing again and Christopher Lee again. In the previous film, they were both goodies, but in this one, Christopher Lee is a bit of a baddie. But he's not the main baddie. Anyway, we start off, see this pile of bones. And we see this is Peter Cushing. He's doing some painting, and it's the opening titles, basically. And he's painting this creature here that's eating some blood or drinking some blood or whatever, and it's a very surreal painting. We notice the creature's got a finger missing. That's important, as we will discover. There we go. Columbia Pictures presents. Well, there you go. Columbia film. Neither of these films are Hammer films, but this one is most like a Hammer. Of the two. There we go. Christopher Lee, Peter Cushing in. It says The Creeping Flesh. Also starring Lorna Heilbronn. She plays his daughter, I do believe. Penelope plays Peter Cushing's daughter, who's the other main character in the flick. But much like Horror Express, but it's reversed this time. In Horror Express, it was Christopher Lee that had the caveman or skeletal remains. In this one, it's Peter Cushing who's discovered them on one of his expeditions, but he's brought it home to England. That's it. We're still going through the credits here. So they're kind of similar in that regard, Horror Express and The Creeping Flesh, but they're quite different. But they're both technically about evil, inhabiting, and ancient evils inhabiting, bones, old bones. So in that regard, they're similar, which is why I usually watch them, in a double bill. Directed by Freddie Francis. Yeah, the great Freddie Francis. Right, so we see Peter Cushing. He's looking a bit old there. He's doing his painting, and there's a chap that's come to talk to him. We see all this equipment here. But all is not as it seems, as you'll find out at the end. So he's talking to this chap. He's telling him about, his discovery that he made, and people might not believe his story, but he's got to tell it. Don't understand this part. Why would he be doing this? As you'll see at the end. Spoilers, this isn't real. He's not really in a lab. He's in a cell. Because he's lost his mind. He's in a loony bin. So, all this stuff's not really there. So why is he looking into that microscope? Don't know. The director should have picked up on that. Anyway, right, so he's telling his story to this chap. And he says, the story began, blah, 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 when he returned home from an expedition with his great discovery. His daughter's, happy to see him, Penelope. He's been away for ages. And apparently, he's spent all the family money going on these expeditions. She's had to scrimp and scrape and, fire some of the staff. But they're still quite well off, They've still got maids and stuff, but they're not as wealthy as they used to be. He can't remember half the names of the staff. He says, "Oh, you're so and so." He says, "No, I'm somebody else." Because she had to fire to the ones, to save money. Anyway, so they bring the crate in, and as soon as he's home, he's saying, "Oh, he's glad to see Penelope," but he forgets about her almost instantly. As soon as he gets in his lab, he's one of them sort of characters, the scientist who neglects his family. So he's one of them. So he says, "Will you have breakfast with me?" "Oh, yes, of course. And then he ends up in his lab. His assistant's there, been looking after stuff, obviously. That's not his assistant, that's a monkey. His assistant's there in the white coat. The good old Michael Ripper there. Who's in a lot of British horror films. He's waiting for his what's the term? What do they call them now? Anyway, he's waiting for his tip. I wasn't thinking of that word. What do they call it? Oh, whatever. A gratuity. That's what he's waiting for, a gratuity. So anyway, he doesn't give him it. She gives him it. He says, "Thank you very much, miss," and doffs his hat to her. Because Peter Cushing, is a bit of a doddery old sod in this. By the way, the name of his character is Emmanuel Hildern, and Christopher Lee plays his brother James Hildern, and he's not a nice chap in this. Is Christopher Lee? Anyway, right. So here we go. There's the skeleton. It's one of is it the rain people or something they call them? The local legends where they found it. They call these giants because it's quite big. Something like the rain people or something like that. So anyway, he's looking at it saying, see how big its skull is, and it's all, it's weird shape, so it's obviously not human. It doesn't actually explain where it is. Is it an alien, or is it just like an offshoot of humanity, or is it something totally different, or is it actually, an ancient god, god in quotes, that walked the earth thousands of years ago? Don't know. Anyway, so Penelope's still waiting for him to come to breakfast. Well, he's not doing, and the maid says, you coming to breakfast, sir? And he's ignoring her, basically. Anyway, eventually he does go, eventually. She's nearly ready to go herself, to leave, but he comes in and says, all right then. So he has a cup of tea. And that's when he finds out that, they've fallen on hard times. And then he finds he's got a letter from his brother, from Christopher Lee, saying his wife has passed away. Because his wife was, what's her name? Is it Emily? I think it's Emily, isn't it? Or maybe not. I don't know. I don't know if we know her name. No, it isn't Emily. Emily's the maid. I don't know if we actually learn her name. I can't remember. It just says Emmanuel's wife in the IMDb. But we learn that she went mental, basically. She was a bit of she was a dancer. And he met her. I don't know what she saw in him. Maybe it was his money. But she was a dancer, and she was, promiscuous, and she was having affairs and stuff. And then she ended up going potty. She went crackers, and she ended up in the lunatic asylum, which is run by his brother. But we'll see that later. I'm spoiling it early on. But she's passed away. Penelope thinks she died years and years ago when she was a kid. A baby, basically. So she's never known her mother. So, but then she finds out later that she died recently. They've got a room upstairs, a mother's room that she's not allowed to go in, and because Peter Cushing is a bit of a shrine to his wife. I don't know what he saw in her, because I don't think she's anything special myself. But what am I to say? I mean, I'm no oil painting, am I? Anyway, so it's gone to the. It's got a name, hasn't it, this place? Let's see if we can see what it's called. It goes past the sign to it. What's it called? Here we go. Is it going to show us it here? As he goes to visit, see his brother. Come on, show us it. There we go. The Hilden Institute for Mental Disorders. So that's where his wife's been. So anyway, he's basically gone for the paperwork. So he hands over the paperwork. So it's kind of sad. And we find out, I think, that they're both going in for the Richter Prize, which is a big scientific prize. Emmanuel, Peter Cushing's, he's got his skeleton that he's going to put in for the Richter Prize, and he's got his experiments that he does on mental patients to do with electricity and stuff like that. That he's putting forward for this prize. So they're in competition for that. And here we see, he looks in a room and he sees the experiments going on. So they close the door. And then one of the prisoners escapes. Not prisoners, then the patients escape. I think he's called Lenny. Lenny's escaped. So he's seal off the place. But Lenny's got out. He's a big hulking fella. But we see more of him in a bit. So anyway, they're having another heart-to-heart, and obviously she's I think she finds out about her mother, and she's not happy about, that he'd kept it from her all these years, but, what can you do? So he goes back to his lab, there's Peter Cushing, and he starts cleaning the skeleton, and he starts with like one of its middle fingers. Why? I don't know. And it starts on its head, but he starts on one of its middle fingers, as we will see in a moment. There we go, it starts cleaning it, pours loads of water on it, and then they do a cool bit of, kind of like stop motion in reverse, as we'll see. And then the skin starts growing back on it, look. And it is kind of cool, I must admit. I do like this effect. Obviously, they've done it in reverse, haven't they? But it's a nice special effect. And he can't believe what he's seeing, look. So anyway, so all this skin grows back. There's it goes back. And when it's done, it looks a bit like a willy. It looks more like a willy than a finger, but there we go. So he chops it off. A willy with a fingernail. So he chops it off and puts it in a jar. There we go. Gets his thingy out. Gets his mallet and his chisel out, chops it off. Because remember, it's a fossil, basically. It's stone. So why is it coming back to life? It's not bone, is it? So anyway. Oh, this is what Christopher Lee's doing for his Richter Prize. He's keeping hearts alive somehow. That's what he's doing. That's what he's up to. Anyway, Peter Cushing puts his veiny monster finger in this in a jar. Meanwhile, Christopher Lee's bringing body parts to life with electricity. He's a bit like Frankenstein, but he don't do full people. Anyway, they're checking Lenny's cell to see how he got out. But while he's doing this, another of the patients notices his cell comes open. No, see, I've gone too far now, look. See in a minute. No, see, I've gone too far. This is another patient, it's not Lenny. There we go. See, he notices his door comes open. So obviously they're a bit lax on security and they're not keeping up to stuff. There we go. See, his door comes open. So he decides he wants to be free too. So he gets hold of him. But luckily, Christopher Lee's got a gun. So he just wants the keys to get out. But Christopher Lee has got his gun. It tells him to stop, but he doesn't, so he just shoots him. There we go. Shoots him in the back. And that's the end of him. But they've still got to sort out Lenny. So he shot him again, look. But Lenny's still on the run. There we go. Dangerous lunatic escapes. Fear is widespread in the northern parts of London this evening at the escape of an inmate from the Hildern Institute for the Criminally Insane. The maniac, thought to be around 25 years of age, he looks older, is described as extremely dangerous and is believed to have taken refuge in extensive whatever, I don't know. I like it when they do stuff like that in films, that you can read newspaper articles. They've gone to that trouble. I mean, you wouldn't have read that. When you saw this at Pictures, obviously in 1973, they had no idea that you could pause a film and watch it and read the print. But they've still gone to that trouble, and it's cool. It says here, look, 1894. That's when it's set. I thought it were after that, to be honest. But no, so it's set in 1894. Horror Express was 1906. This is 1894. Right. So are we going to see... Yeah, we're going to see Lenny. Lenny's in London now. He ends up in... there he is, look. He's supposed to be 25. Looks older than 25 to me. But, they had hard lives in them days. Anyway, he ends up in a pub and causes trouble there, but we'll get to that. He comes in. I think he's going to start washing the creature. Every time we look at it and we think like water, we hear this rumbling noise. It would... it's supposed to be thundering, distant thunder, because they're the rain people. Nearly gets water on it again. Peter Cushing runs in, no, and he knocks the the water out of his hand, and it nearly gets on the skeleton, but he just mops it up in time. This is the police asking about Lenny. This officer is oh God, what's his name now? He was in last week's film, Quatermass in the Pit. Duncan Lamont. There we go. I said he'd been in a lot of stuff. Duncan Lamont is the inspector. So he was in last week's Quatermass in the Pit, and now he's in this one. There we go. Anyway, he's asking about Lenny, and he's got a photograph of him, So he gives him a photograph of Lenny so they can identify him. There you go. So he gives him that. So he says, "Thank you very much, sir." And he says that the inspector says, given Lenny's state, we might not be able to bring him in alive. And he says, "Well, as long as you bring him back." So obviously he wants him alive or dead. He don't care, basically. Anyway, they're checking the. That doesn't look like a finger, does it? Checking the finger. So they're wondering, how could it grow back? They don't know. But first up, they're taking blood samples from it, from the finger, and checking it under a microscope, and they notice the blood has got these black strandy things. Meanwhile, he sent him for a book. If you noticed before, a couple of frames before, he sent his assistant for a book from his room, and he inadvertently left the keys there. So Penelope got hold of them. She kind of distracted him so that she could keep the keys, so she could go into her mother's room. But anyway, so that's in a bit. Nice, never mind. It's a nice stuffed chimpanzee in the chair, but right. So they're gonna cuts it up. This is kind of makes me cringe a bit. I know it's only like silicon or something, but they cut it open. It makes me cringe. Like, give over. So anyway, so they get some of the blood and they put it under the microscope, and then they see it's got this. Hang on, we'll see in a minute. There we go. The alien, whatever, the brain person blood, it's got this black stuff in, and they find out. It comes to the conclusion that this is evil. Pardon me, this is evil. And they mix regular blood with it in a moment, and we see that the evil puts some of his own blood in there, pricks his finger, puts some of his own blood, and the evil cells take over and kill the regular cells, as we see. Is that what he's just seen? Yeah, he's just seen the... Let's have a look. There we go. See the regular cells there, the evil cells are killing them because they're evil. So anyway, so she's sneaking off, I think, to her mother's room. So he's he's engrossed in his work. He wants to make a serum. He wants to do a serum to make people immune to evil, because he decides evil is a physical thing. It's in the blood. So if he can make a serum, a vaccine to protect people from evil, he'll win the Richter Prize. So anyway, so he does that and tests it on his monkey. Remember the monkey we saw earlier, or the macaque, or whatever it is. He tests it on that. Meanwhile, she's gone into her mother's room. She sees all these there's feather boas and stuff, and there's a piano in there and stuff, and the photos. There you go, photos, and a lovely red dress. And so she's in there finding out all about her mother. She's not been allowed in there all her life, so obviously she's curious. She wants to know about her mother. There we go. The testing the vaccine, the evil vaccine on this poor monkey. This is where she finds out that mother passed away. Well, earlier on. It says 1893 there, doesn't it? What was the date before? I know it said 1894, but I forgot what month it was. But he'd been away, hadn't he? He'd been away and come back. So she died some months before he got back. So anyway, she's just found out about that, so she's not happy. So here they're doing these tests. They take some blood from the monkey and they run some tests, and he thinks he's killed the evil cells. Here we go. Let's have a look. See, the evil cells aren't killing now. They're just there. They're not killing, not ganging up on the regular blood cells. So he thinks he's made a breakthrough. He thinks it's amazing. There we go. I think the evil cells might even die. I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't think they do. Because the monkey goes mental and then dies. Anyway, he goes to bed. He sets off to bed. And he goes into his wife's room, and then we see that's Penelope's dress. She's put on her mother's dress, and he thinks it's her to start with. He thinks it's his wife. I can't remember what she's called. But anyway, he's furious when he realises, what are you doing here? All that. And she says, you said she died when I was young, blah, blah, blah. So he tells her to get out, so she goes out. And here we go. We're seeing what she was like when she were alive. So as we see, she's like some, like a burlesque performer. She's, exotic dancing and stuff. There we go. But she's not that a good dancer, to be honest. She's just throwing her dress about. She's just, I don't know. I don't know what everybody sees in her. But never mind. So she goes back to her dressing room. Peter Cushing's there. So I don't know if are they married at this point. I don't know. Probably are. But she's having affairs with other men, and then she goes mental later on, and she ends up in Christopher Lee's loony bin. There we go. They're dragging her away, putting her in a cell, because that's all they could do. Right, so that's what happened there. So Peter Cushing's not happy about that. Yes, by the way, he thinks he's cured the monkey of evil. So now he takes the next step. I'll cure my daughter of evil, because he thinks his daughter's going to get the same. Because he thought evil overtook his wife, and that's why she ended up in the loony bin. So he thinks his daughter's going to succumb to the same problems. So he gives her the injection, the serum. Of course, he's a good scientist. So he wants to cure his daughter. So he gives her the injection, thinking everything's hunky-dory with the monkey. And so that's where we leave that. So anyway, Lenny arrives at this pub in down by the docks in London, probably in the East End. And he goes in this pub. He can't speak, by the way, Lenny. He's like I say, he's a hulking giant, but he doesn't really talk. He's not all there. Which is why we're in, the Hilden's asylum place. So anyway, he goes in, and we see he takes a shine to this woman, and obviously she don't want anything to do with him. So a fight starts out with some sailors, because remember, they're by the docks. So anyway, they take the place, they takes the place apart, smashes it up. The police come in the next day. It's all smashed up. Lenny's run off. He's gone back to the warehouse where we saw him earlier on. So anyway, back at Peter Cushing's house, he gets a call from his assistant. He hasn't finished shaving, look. So he runs downstairs, runs into the lab. That's his assistant. Says he's called him down, and we see the monkey's not doing too well. As we will see, the monkey is in fact stone bleeding dead. It got out of its cage in some sort of rage probably, and smashed up the lab a bit, and died. on the floor. Meanwhile, Penelope's snuck off. She's gone down the East End. I think she's still wearing her mother's dress. And she goes in that was Lenny, Lenny had gone in that warehouse. The police, they've heard about what happened, so they're going down. It says, do you want to take my security coach? And so they do that. So they know where Lenny is now because of the trouble in the pub. So anyway, Peter Cushing realises he's given his daughter this injection that could kill her. So he's got to go looking for her now. He realises she's gone missing. So anyway, she's ended up, for some reason, she's ended up in the same pub that Lenny was. There's only one pub here, I don't know, but she's ended up in the same pub. And she's acting a bit like her mother was, a bit of a floozy. But she starts dancing for people and she has a drink. And this chap comes along. As there's no money, this chap comes along and pays for it, and he wants to take her up to his room. He's got a room. Peter Cushing's looking for her. So there he goes up to the room. He tries taking the clothes off, but she scratches his face. In a minute, there we go, up to the room there, look. And tries to force himself on her, but she's having none of it, and she obviously resists, and there we go, she scratched his face. There we go. So he obviously he's got some dueling scars now. So he goes, and she comes down, and I think she starts dancing again. There she goes, starts dancing, and things kick off again, and I think she kills somebody. I think, she a bit of a kerfuffle. She runs off. She ends up in the same warehouse somehow that Lenny. I don't know how they keep ending up the same pub, the same warehouse. She ends up there with Lenny. But the police arrive. They've tracked him down. They go up to the upper floor of this warehouse. And she pushes Lenny out. I think Lenny had protected her. But because she's now evil because of the serum from the evil rain people, she makes him plunge to his death. So anyway, they grab her. She's obviously insane. They shove her in the security coach. And she ends up at Christopher Lee's asylum. There we go. So Christopher Lee has got to go to explain to his brother Emmanuel, what Christopher Lee's name is it? James. Yeah, James has got to explain to Emmanuel that he's got his daughter in the mental institute, and what's been going on and all that. This is his scene. Look, I think this is some of that's some of Penelope's blood. He sees it's all peculiar, so he thinks something's up. Has Emmanuel been experimenting on his own daughter? Yes, technically he has. So Christopher Lee sets off to see Emmanuel. There we go, and he looks in his lab, and he sees the same blood in the microscope, so he knows there's a connection. Reads his notes. Emmanuel's, why are you barging into my lab? Sees the skeleton. Puts two and two together. Obviously, something is afoot. He's brought Penelope back. That's it. So they keep her locked up. See how she goes on. Anyway, what happens? Christopher Lee decides, they're going to hire some men to steal that skeleton. So this is what they do. They break into the. In a minute. This is Peter Cushing checking on his daughter. I think they're going to wait for all the lights to go out or whatever. Here we go. Send some men in to steal this skeleton. We hear rumbles of thunder. So they get the skeleton. It's holding together well, isn't it? But they get it out through the window, and its hand goes into a thing of water. You ready? Here we go. It's going to go into this water. Oh my goodness! Oh, crikey Moses! So obviously they don't know what's going to happen. And it starts raining. The coach leaves. They killed his assistant. That was it. Yeah, they killed his assistant. Peter Cushing finds his assistant dead on the floor. So I think his notes have been stolen as well as the skeleton. So he sets off in pursuit. And it starts raining. And there we go. See the skeleton. I think it was its hand starting to get skin on it. Look. Ooh. So Peter Cushing's on his horse, chasing after the carriage, and then the carriage overturns. It hits a tree stump or a rock or something, and there we go. It's going through the woods, and it overturns. In a moment. Look, it's getting more skin on its hand. There we go. Oh, it's a tree, a fallen tree. There we go. And the carriage overturns. I think that this driver ends up underneath the carriage, crushed. There we go. The carriage falls on him. The horses run away. Boom. And all the rain starts falling on the creature. There we go. Rain starts falling on the creature. It comes back to life. Climbing out of the carriage. Its hand comes out. Look. Love this film. It's ace. Peter Cushing, he arrives. He finds the driver dead. And then he looks into the woods. There we go. We're going to see. He's found the driver dead. And then he looks into the woods. There's a flash of lightning. A hooded figure. A very tall hooded figure. And I think he realises who or what it is. So he gets back on his horse and rides back home in terror. He knows what's going on. Christopher Lee arrives in his carriage and he sees what's happened. Where's the skeleton gone? They find the dead driver. So his skeleton that he tried to steal has disappeared. Anyway, so Christopher Lee takes the finger that the Jimmy Riddler finger and throws it in the fire. So he gets rid of that bit of evidence. What he would have done, if I can pause on that bit. There we go. See, he throws it in the fire. Look, there we go. In it goes. Go on, throw it in then, man. Get on with it. There we go. Throws it in the fire. So he's got rid of that. And he goes upstairs. He's locked all the doors. And he goes upstairs. Locks himself in his room. Or his wife's room. Or whatever. Meanwhile, Penelope. We're going to see Penelope in a minute. She kills the maid. The maid's supposed to be looking after her there. The maid's asleep. She's got the keys. Penelope basically kills the maid and takes the keys. She wakes up in a minute. Here we go. So, told she's evil. Look. There you go. She's throttling the maid so she can take the keys and escape. Meanwhile, a big a big shadow arrives at the house. Ooh, shuffling towards the house. And it comes and it knocks on the door. You ready? You're going to see the big manky hand knocking on the door. Go on. Using the knocker. Because he's civilised, using the door knocker with a finger missing, remember? Because Peter Cushing chopped it off, didn't he? Anyway, she's going to answer the door. She's going to let the bugger in. That's what she's going to do. So she goes down. See? She lets him in a minute. There you go. She's opening the door, unbolting it and everything, and opens it up. And in comes, the hooded figure. It's the creeping flesh. He's arrived. So, anyway, Peter Cushing looks out peeks out of his bedroom, his wife's room, and sees sees the figure coming up the stairs. We'll see it in a minute. We'll see it in a moment, I think. Oh, she's running off into the night because she's a crazy person now. There you go. He has a look out. Oh yeah, he hears a commotion. That's it. The creature is in his lab. It's looking for his finger, basically. That's what he's looking for. It's looking for its finger. But he's burnt it, remember? So the finger is no more. So, it wants its finger. It's a bit like them urban legends, innit? Where's my finger? It's one of them sort of things. So he comes back out, heads up the stairs. Peter Cushing's crapping himself, as he should be. It shows Peter Cushing's hand, look. We're seeing all them fingers. Ooh, what's the creature going to do? So, oh God, I'm scared. That's Peter Cushing, not me. There he goes, coming upstairs, look. Super tall, looks a bit ungainly, but I would be if I were a million-year-old skeleton. Anyway, this is another peculiar thing. The creature comes in and it can't get in, obviously the door's locked, but for some reason it's got control of Peter Cushing's hand. Peter Cushing unlocks the door for some reason. Maybe it's got psychic powers, I don't know. There we go, look. Thinking, look, I'm going to unlock them. I can't stop myself. I don't know why. So he lets the creature in. And there we go. And we see some there we go. Not very good effects work there, but he's like, oh look, you owe me a finger, me lad. So that's terrible, that, isn't it? That looks awful, doesn't it? But never mind. So anyway, so there we go. And the creature disappears into the night, and we see Penelope dancing in the rain. Is it still raining? Well, dancing in the night time. And Christopher Lee arrives, and he finds all these dead bodies, and he finds Peter Cushing crying in his room. Well, not dead bodies, finds the dead body. No, there's 2 dead bodies, isn't there? There's the maid as well as Peter Cushing's assistant. Anyway, he finds Emmanuel whimpering and gibbering in his wife's room. So he takes him away to his asylum, and that's where he is now, look. So he's back in as we find out, he's not in the lab, he's in an asylum. This chap is one of the doctors, he's got a white coat on now. And there we go. And Christopher Lee comes along and says, he thinks he's my brother. I don't know how we can tell people he's not his brother. Obviously, he's his brother, but they're quite famous, well-to-do people, but I don't know. Says, thinks this is his brother, and then his daughter's in another cell. Penelope's in another cell, and he thinks she's his daughter. There we go. So, look. So he's not really in the lab. That all disappears next time we see. There we go, he's saying, he thinks he's my brother. This poor creature here thinks is his daughter. So Penelope's, there we go, that's Penelope now. She's in manacles and everything. She's proper mental. And then we cut back to Peter Cushing. He's in a normal cell, not in a lab anymore, because we're all in his head. There we go. He's in a cell, and as you can see there, his finger's missing. The creature took its pound of flesh. I know a finger don't weigh a pound, but there we go. So he's got a finger missing. Still got his wedding ring on, though. The end! Classic, great film. Love it. I love the creeping flesh. One of my favourites. And I watch it regularly, even though I can't remember half the names. But you know what I'm like. There we go. So that's it. As I said, they're both very similar films. They both have a similar motif, as in, ancient bodies found, on archaeological expeditions have, some sort of evil force inhabiting them that gets out and causes mayhem, and people die. But whereas Horror Express had a happy ending, sort of, this one doesn't. It doesn't have a happy ending, because we find out that Christopher Lee, James Hilden, won the Richter Prize that year. Don't know what for, but he did. Because obviously Peter Cushing, Emmanuel, he's scared. So basically the skeleton, the creeping flesh creature, is still out there somewhere. Where is it? I don't know. They should do a creeping flesh 2. Return of the Flesh. But they didn't. Right, so that's it. That's your double bill. Double bill of horror on a Friday night. So we'll leave it there. So, wherever you are, look after each other, don't have nightmares, sleep tight, and until next time, I'll see thee.